It's time for Straight Talk Live with renowned radio pioneer Edna Howell-Parrish, the television show and podcast dedicated to presenting thought-provoking issues and opinions with the goal of challenging listeners to re-examine their assumptions and expand their opinions and give thought to new ideas and concepts to better their lives and the lives of others. This is your opportunity to participate in making the world better. So without further ado, let's get ready for Straight Talk Live with your host Edna Howell-Parrish.
Welcome, everybody, to the show. Hi, I'm Edna. The show today, one that's very interesting. We've been working on it for some time now. It is a celebration of life for the late Kenneth Routson. I've known Kenneth Routson all of my life as a child, attending elementary and high school with Kenneth and his family. In fact, we all lived in the same neighborhood. Back in the 1950s, we lived in a community called Edgemont. Kenneth lived on one side and we lived on the other, but we all met at the same elementary school and then later on at the same high school. Whittier Elementary School, located near Welcome Stadium, that's near UD Arena. Kenneth Routson and his family owned a home on Miami Boulevard, which was next to Welcome Stadium, a neighborhood that basically in the 50s and before, basically inhabited by white people. African Americans began to move into the neighborhood in the 50s. So the blacker the neighborhood was, more white people moved out. It is a fact. But Kenneth's family stayed. Kenneth Routson's family stayed in the neighborhood. He had a sister, Sherry Routson, who was my best friend in elementary and in high school. And then I knew Kenneth as Sherry's little brother. And later on, Kenneth went to Belmont High School because the family did buy another home. But Kenneth and Sherry and the friends in the neighborhood, the Long family, the Townsend family, the Williams family, all remained friends with Kenneth over the years. Sherry did pass away, and Sherry had a daughter. Her name was Paula. And Paula loved Kenneth and she loved Sherry too. To make a long story short, Kenneth Routson, described as intelligent, creative, compassionate, and even a complex man who knew and worked with many people in the developmental disabilities community. Kenneth was the founder of Ability to Thrive, an organization that worked with people that were disabled. You may know people that may have some of the disabilities that Kenneth and his organization worked with. We're going to talk about that, and we are going to talk with some of the people that he worked with and some of the people that he served in the community. Kenneth passed away July the 30th of 2025, just a couple of months ago. And Kenneth's niece, Paula Routson, Sherry's daughter, wanted to come together with the community to hold a celebration of life. And so we organized that and we began to connect with people. And I said we could do this. And then Paula said, well, let's do that. And then we're going to have a picnic. And so we planned all of this stuff, the celebration of life coming up very soon, and invited people from the old neighborhood and families to come out and to celebrate. But one thing I wanted to do, because I just love doing podcasts and talking with people, is to bring together people that knew and worked with Kenneth. So that is part of what I'm going to be doing today. We're going to bring on several people that you may know if you work with Ability to Thrive. You may know this young lady, Vicki Rogers. She joined us today. Welcome to the show, Vicki.
Hi, Edna. Thank you for that young lady. Thank you.
Yes, you're a young lady. I love you. I thank you so much. We
I love
talked
you
a little
too.
bit earlier, and you
Yeah,
started out working with Kenneth as a driver, but you
yeah,
also was a driver for St. Rita's School for those people that have hearing and vision problems. And that's how you kind of connected with Kenneth. Talk about
yeah.
that for just a few minutes.
I actually worked for a company called Universal Transportation Systems, UTS, and I worked for them for a number of years. And actually, the Ability Thrive started out with Carolyn Bueller and Ken Routson and Carolyn's daughter, Monica. And one day she told me that, Carolyn did, that she had a job for me. I said, I've already got a job because I didn't want to leave the kids that I had at St. Rita's School for the Deaf. And she brought me up to her desk and say, here's this guy's name. His name is Kenneth Routson. I want you to go and I want you to talk to him and see him. I said, I'll go, but I don't think I have any intentions of taking on another different job. So I went and Ken talked to me. He asked me if I knew anything about this disability and that disability. And I'd say, no, I know a lot about people that are deaf because I worked with them and I had a cousin that was deaf and stuff like that, but not really. And he began to show me the gym where they were had free memberships. We paid memberships for them there, and they started each day working out there, and then they'd go bowling or swimming one. So he showed me how they ran their program, and he said, well, go turn your paperwork into Carolyn, and we'll see you come to work probably in a week or two. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I take it or not. But I said, can I go see the kids first? And I mean, no disrespect when I say kids, because I'm older. Everybody's younger than me, and I just call them kids. So he said, sure. So we walked over to the table where they all sat, and they were doing a learning program that they do. They teach before they worked out. And I walked over and then said, or he said, this, everybody, is Miss Vicky. Can everybody say hi to Miss Vicky? Hi, Miss Vicky. I'm like, oh my gosh, I am sucker punched. There's no way I got to give it a chance. So I thought, well, I'll start working and see what I can do, and maybe I can help them. But Lord, they helped me much more than I ever helped them. And then I became a driver.
Joining us also, okay, so joining us also on the program today is another mother who has a daughter that was also aided by work of Kenneth Routson. Melanie Moon, welcome to the program today.
Well, thank you for having me, Edna. It's nice to be here.
You are welcome. Your daughter was 15 years old, has a developmental disability, but was able to connect with Kenneth. Tell us about how that connection came about. And first of all, describe your daughter's situation, her physical, her mental, her disability.
So my daughter, Adrian Moon, but we call her 80, Miss 80. She's 41 years old now, but she was about 15 when I met Ken. Developed very severe behaviors of self-abusive behaviors to herself. She would go for hours a day, 3 hours a day, hurting herself and screaming, no language at all, severely autistic, a toe walker, so her mobility was difficult, no understanding of the world around her. Everything sort of moved very fast. So she was in high school at the time. I think it was her first year in high school, and her teacher knew Ken, and Ken was starting a camp, a summer camp for children with disabilities in our community, Middletown. So she introduced me to him one day after school. It was the first year for the camp, and I said, okay, I'm interested in this. My daughter needs year-round schooling, and that wasn't being offered. She needed programming year-round is what she needed. She needed consistency. And we needed, quite honestly, the break at home. We were breaking at home. We were struggling. We were not sleeping. We were not eating. We were sort of in a crisis at home. So I went and met with Ken, and we talked about her disability and how we could help her. And she started at Summer Fun, and that's how I met Ken. She went on to attend 10 years, I think, maybe 11 years of Summer Fun. Initially, we would send a private aide with her to deal with the behaviors, but as she matured and as she learned and as we learned, as Ken taught us how to deal with her, her behaviors improved. And today we have a delightful 41-year-old who's still under the umbrella of severe profound autism, has a wonderful, full life with lots of friends. So I'm forever thankful for what Ken taught me.
The career that meant the most to Ken Routson in his lifetime started at the Butler County Board of Developmental Disabilities in Fairfield, Ohio. That's in Butler County. He became an advocate for individuals that have physical and developmental disabilities, and he went on to create the Ability to Thrive Without Walls, an organization where he implemented his unique program of integrated health and wellness. And I use that word unique program because, from what I understand, Melanie, you were told that perhaps there may not have been much hope that your daughter would be able to function as she is today.
Yeah, I would believe that most people that worked with her early on would be joyfully celebrating how far she. I think a lot of people didn't see this kind of progress. Somebody as severe as me. But yes, Ken had a holistic approach to it, and we were running down this trail of what's medically wrong with her. Is she having seizures? They were doing sleep deprived EEGs at Children's Hospital, and Ken said to me one day, I'll never forget this. Behavior is language, and I, I just it took me back. Behavior is language. Behavior isn't medical. Behavior is language. And that sort of opened up a new thought process. And that was really the beginning of looking at this holistic person, um, the whole body of the person. And Ken was the master at that, absolutely the master of gentle teaching, of kindness, love, um, acceptance.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, all of that.
And it's so interesting that you say behavior is language, and that Kenneth has been honored locally and nationally for his work with children who are and adults who have developmental disabilities, like, for instance, with autism, behavior disorders, brain injuries, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, spina bifida, these types of ailments that people sometimes just give up on people. And
Yes.
Vicky, I know that you are the one who picks up a lot of people, take them to the treatment centers, day programs, and so you started out with St. Rita's School for the Deaf and the Blind, but then you started working with Kenneth, and you picked up much more severely disabled people. And how did that impact you, seeing what Kenneth was able to do for those young people?
Well, I think some people met people that's had degrees and went to college to work with people like what we do. And he said, "You by far already know everything that is to be taught." And I said, "No, I don't." He said, "Yes, you do, because you have that ability to turn things around. You have the ability to see when, and like when in a group, you're scouring through the group to see, what's everybody's expression. If you see somebody that you think, well, they're just on the edge of not being content, let's go see what that person's need is and stuff. I just automatically do that. But I learned as I watched. Um, Ken was a great teacher. He was a great friend. Uh, Loved us. Gosh, he loves those kids so much. I could tell you so many stories about him and the kids, but really, really close, and could just turn things around just magically. And I guess just watching with him and what I already knew and getting to work with him too, I got to learn even more.
I think one of the philosophies of Kenneth was to work with people and give them techniques that are best for the individual. Not what someone says, not what someone says in a book, but work individually with people. How have you
Yeah.
seen that turn things around, Vicky?
I'll give you a similarity, I guess I could call it. We have a young man named Jamie. Love him to pieces. And Jamie would get bored, and his thing was bang on the tables to make a noise. And some of the teachers would say, Jamie, stop, please. And then Jamie would do it, again. And Jamie, Miss So and so said, please stop, Jamie. And boom, 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 and go again. I said, walked over and I put my arm around Jamie. I said, hey, Jamie, how are you today? Okay. So, Jamie, he said, yes. Are you bored? I said, well, let's me and you go do something different. So it's that redirecting, like behaviors language, that banging on the table consistently. And each time it would get louder and louder because he's trying to tell you, I've had enough of this. Can we do something else? So I just went over, me and him began to do something else. So that's a thing of behavior is language. Pacing the floors, all kinds of things are things that are behavioral.
Mhm.
In a time when most people with disabilities were either put in nursing homes,
Yes.
sometimes locked away, families
Institutions.
didn't want people to see them. Many people were afraid and embarrassed to be around them. But Kenneth said, work with the individual, Melanie. He said, work with them where they are. And so you didn't hide your daughter. In fact, over the years, things developed, and your daughter is thriving today.
Mhm.
She's thriving. Tell us about what's the difference in today and what difference Kenneth made for your daughter's abilities.
Yeah, well, Ken suggested we buy her a house when she graduated from high school, which, had talked to my husband into that, but we did. And we spent 2 months making it all girly and cute. And it was just a little two-bedroom, two-bathroom house. And that has been one of the best decisions that we ever made. And it was Ken's suggestion because she had her own space. What 22-year-old really wants to live with their parents all their life? So we hired staff that were her age appropriate. And again, we were able to keep the staff. I have had the same staff for 20 years, which is absolutely unheard of. But we were able to do it, and we've been able to change her world because of this house. And now she actually even spends a few nights there as she's matured. Again, with full 24/7 staff, she's eyes on at all times. You have to have her in auditory range and have to be able to get hands on her. But the house has been wonderful, and I would give Ken the credit for having that vision to see that she needed a break from us. A lot of parents think that maybe they're the only ones that will ever learn their child, but what ended up happening is that Adie needed friends, and that opened her up to the community. And now she is totally active in our church. She hosts community group from our church at her home with her friends, not with her brother's friends or not with my husband and I's friends, but with her own friends. I mean, she's even been invited to parties, community church parties. It's wonderful. She lives a life more separate from people with disabilities. She goes to day program 3 days a week, and I would love to send her to Ability to Thrive, but it would be almost an hour bus drive for her, so that makes no sense. So Adi goes to a program that is much closer, and is with people 3 days a week, but the rest of her week is more self-directed. Like Ken would say, it's Adi specific. It's what Adi needs. It's her needs, and each child needs a specified plan like that. And we work very hard every year on her ISP or IEP, ISP to make sure it's all 80 driven, person driven planning, which I hope every parent's doing that with their child. That would be Ken's desire, that each child would have their own specific program, not something that settles a group.
Celebrating the life of the late Kenneth Routson. He passed away July the 30th, leaving a legacy. Kenneth honored nationally, Kenneth honored locally by those people that work with uh, children who have and who become adults that have developmental disabilities. I know that it raises the consciousness of a lot of people. Uh, I have family members myself who have some developmental disabilities, and so they have been touched by some of the programs that Kenneth helped to create. He started in Butler County. He said that they invited him to come to Montgomery County, that's in Dayton, Ohio, where I am. am today, where my sister is as well. And he created the programs for taking people out of the nursing homes, taking them out of the hidden places, and creating these special group homes for them to be able to select their own decorations and own furniture. The money that they received from the state or their parents, that money was able to follow those people, and
Yes.
they weren't
Yes.
stuck away. And you're nodding your head, Vicky, because you understand what I'm talking about. Yes,
Yes.
elaborate, please.
Oh my gosh, there's so much because we'd have them that had they give them money on a card so they couldn't overspend it because they had to keep credit everything they bought. And when we first begin, some of them that had never had that opportunity, we tell them, well, do you know what you want to buy? No, no. Well, do you know how much money you have? If they said no, we'd tell them. So we would take them to the mall, and the excitement, you can say, you know what, you can buy a T-shirt, you can buy a magazine, you can buy candy. Yes, you can buy whatever you want. So the eyes just light up like I can go to my favorite store and I can buy what I want to buy. Or when I go out to eat, and that's another thing we talked about what gratuity was, and we talked that they could not read our server's name, that at least ask them their name because we told them how much they got paid an hour, which is not much, and how important it is. Just like if I say, well, hello, Edna, it's wonderful to see you today. How much do you think that waitress, if somebody recognizes who they are, if we said hello? And they would also like to be seen servicemen or women out in the community. It was not uncommon for one of our in our group or two or more to start walking automatically toward those services men and women and shake their hand and say thank you for serving our country. So yeah, having an opportunity to choose is a big thing.
And Melanie, I know that you can appreciate that. I mean, I've been out in public. We see groups at Walmart, at the grocery store, Dollar Tree, shopping and having a good time. Someone's with them and someone's supporting and helping them a lot. And it really means so much to them and their families as well. I mean, you're a family member of someone who had developmental or who has developmental disabilities. How do you think that makes them feel, and how does it make you feel to see them thriving?
Well, I think it's fabulous. And just a perfect example today, I took my three grandchildren, 9, 7, and 3, to Young's Dairy Farm. And there's quite a large area. And we saw 2-day programs there from Dayton. And my grandchildren had to go over and speak to those kids. Now,
Awesome.
that's what you want. I want people approaching my daughter, and then I want the education that she taught so many people, that people are not fearful now to approach these adults with disabilities that are out in the community. And I that's the one piece of our church that I think is so amazing. We have actually more children in our church than we do adults because we have so many young children, big growing families. And all these children have been raised, call 80, Aunt 80, because that's what my grandkids call her. And they're all learning just to approach her and speak to her every Sunday and greet her. And that's something you really can't teach. You have to experience it to learn that. And that's just all of what the community, being out in the community, has done for the adult disability world. It's fabulous. Fabulous.
Did you want to add something, Vicky?
I just wanted to add just a little bit about Ken. You talked about him being different, and he was. I think what Ken had was a gift of love and a gift from God. And I think that anybody that works with special needs will say, "Oh, you must be a very special person to work with special needs people." What? No, you just gotta love people. When I would go to work and get to be with the kids, as I call them, it's like getting to go and hang out with my best friends all day long. All day long, I could stay all day. I've had them want to come home with me. I've had them want to come live with me. It's just an awesome experience. In that, with that experience of Ken being who he was and who what he stood up for. We had a young man in a meeting one time, and his ISP provider, support coordinator, asked him to sit down, and he shook his head, and he always carried a radio with him. And they said, "No, you need to sit down." And he'd shake his head just like this, "No." And Ken says, "No, you don't have to sit down. He's listening. He's standing." "No, I'm asking him to sit down. And he needs to learn manners, and he needs to sit down." that hit Ken, and I had never seen him so angry in my life. He said, I don't care if he gets up on the flipping table and stand. He's not sitting down. And thus I called him Billy Jack. That was his nickname from then on, because he did fight for their rights. He told them they have their rights, they got a right to vote, they got a right for all this stuff. So do not take their rights, and don't tell him he has to sit down.
And Ken thought outside of the box.
He did, very much so.
That's exactly what you're talking about. Manners in society are sometimes skewed, not correct. And we have to think outside of the box for our kids.
Yes,
Ken
yes.
taught me that. Ken was a piece of looking outside of the box, realizing that everything doesn't have to be scripted the way society per se sees it. And that's Ken was also a great networker.
Oh, yes.
He was the king networker. I'm a pretty good networker too.
Yeah.
The two of us together, we could network and get stuff done and get free
He
things.
told me I was a friend raiser.
Yeah.
Same thing. Yeah.
So he's a great networker.
Yes.
Had so many connections. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Kenneth was a person who did not let he didn't let race, he didn't let color, he didn't let religion, nationality stand in his way of people that he loved. Like I said, he grew up in a neighborhood that had long turned basically African American. So all the friends that he had as childhood growing up on Great Miami Boulevard next to Welcome Stadium, those people will come together at this celebration of life for Kenneth. Nick Williams, who he called his special brother, African American, the Long family, the Townsend family, these were African American people. And like I said, his sister Sherry, she was my best friend in elementary and high school. And a bunch of us used to hang out together. Definitely just love them so much. And so they'll be coming together. Now, the programs that you all serve, the ability to thrive, they take people of all race, colors, and creeds as well
Yes.
in the program. Vicky, you want to share that with us?
Yes, all kinds of disabilities, whether it's autism. We've had some with Alzheimer's, just some slow learning, different. Doesn't turn anybody away. And what we do is usually offer them a free day to come and check our program out. And we've always told parents and guardians, any day you want to pop in and see what we're doing all day long, we encourage that, because I think it makes the kids feel good to see that people are interested in what they're doing, that mom and dad approves and stuff. And they get their own membership to the Planet Fitness, and they can go anytime they want to, not just when we're out and about taking them. So and with that, they've met a lot of different people of nationalities, anything from Vietnamese to African Americans, actually from Africa, that have worked out and been bodybuilders. They've been made like big brothers and big sisters to them.
Can I add something to that?
Yes, Melanie, go ahead.
Yeah, one thing that is becoming some of an issue in this world today, with county boards in Ohio stepping away from any providing of day programming or transportation. They've stepped completely out of that. They're a funding source now as all. They're a funding source, and they give support coordination. Now you have to go out and find day programs, and a lot of times people are discriminated because of their behaviors. And that's exactly what would happen to my child. My child would be the child that would be eliminated from a day program. There are day programs that we were not even allowed to tour because of how people knew about her behaviors. They knew the type of behaviors she had. And I would think that Ability to Thrive would be one of those programs. I on the board there. That they would try their best, because Ken would understand that you cannot discriminate on race, color, any of that, creed, nationality, or behavior. And behavior is coming under fire right now.
It is. It is. It's much needed. You just look what all is accomplished from having those day programs. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of day programs are not all the same. And I'm not just tooting Ability Thrive's horn. There's some programs out there that just have them sit and watch TV. They may do a musical exercise or color in a coloring book or coloring pages, and it's more like a babysitting service.
Right.
And that's what's giving some adult day programs bad raps. And that's why they don't want to take anybody, that is known for behaviors or something because of that very thing.
Exactly. That's exactly. And they don't want the ratio,
Now, are those
the staffing ratio. It makes it more difficult. But our kids need served too. It's very personal to me. Very
Yes.
personal.
Let me let my dog out so he'll stop
who
barking.
pays for the services? Oh, I know that's your dog. I know you can't help what's going
Yeah,
on with
can we
him,
let him
so
out so see if he'll
it's
stop?
okay.
Give me
No,
one
it's
second.
okay. Let him bark, and that's he's putting his voice in with the program as well. So that's
Well,
okay. Those things do
he
happen,
did
so
start
we're
going to
okay with
Ability
that.
Thrive at 10 weeks old. I used to take him when he was little
Well, you
bitty in a tote, and he'd have a receiving blanket of sort in that tote, and he had a baby bottle because he was not weaned like he should have been, and they took turns nursing Snoopy. So Snoopy's Ability Thrive member of sort,
okay?
and that's good therapy for him too.
So
Just
we
like
we do the program not to seek perfection, but to but to get information out to people. So a little dog bark in the background is what it is. If the video has a little bleep in it, it's okay. It is what it is. Kenneth was an author. Among the many things that he did, he wrote 3 books that focused on his devotion to the people that were disabled. One book called Beliefology, Raising the Consciousness to Wealth, Health, and Happiness. He also wrote Briefology, a workbook that goes with that uh, other book that I talked about. He also wrote Internal Life, I Do Believe in Spirit, Life Magical, and The Gift of Autism and Alzheimer's. I asked you about that, Vicki, and I'm going to ask you about that, Melanie. The Gift of Autism and Alzheimer's. Now, the way we look at that sometimes, and I know I have 2 sisters, one has passed, and the other one is in a nursing home now, and they have Alzheimer's. I have a nephew who has autism, and he's looking at it as a gift. Now, if you ask the family members so far what they've been taught, they don't see it as a gift. Vicki, you understand why he calls it a gift?
I do.
Share that with us.
Uh, my father had Down syndrome, not Down syndrome, sundown syndrome. To me, early stages of what might become, Alzheimer's. And his mother also had Alzheimer's. And they began to look at the things about how Alzheimer's and autism kind of look some ways and some similarities. And he told me one day, he said, we all know the mom we had. And then when my mom got Alzheimer's, she was different. And he said she may have been different to us, but what we had to learn is to accept the mom that she became. And he said, in my opinion, it's God's protecting their mind over what they're going through, that they don't understand that they're losing their memories and they're losing this. Because like my mother-in-law, for example, she would say, do you see Jim over there? And I'd say, no, Jim's not over there. And yeah, he's right there behind that tree. And I'm like, I don't see it. And then it dawned on me, stop disagreeing with them.
Right. You got to go with
And it's
it.
the same with all autism. But I learned real quick that it was right that when you go along with them, I said, oh, maybe I might see him. Is he wearing a gray shirt? No, it's blue. Oh, that's right. You just got to go into their world and accept their world, because their world is just like with your daughter, Melanie. Her world looks a lot different than our world.
Hmm.
And we want to put her in our world.
Right.
You want to change her to our world. What we need to do is understand her world, and that we can collide and live together, to the best that we can. And that's what I think that's what the gift of it is. And putting the right people in the person's life that directs them that way, so you can get into their lives.
Hmm.
Melanie, you can add to that if you'd like.
Yeah, I guess there would probably have been 20 to 25 years that I would have said autism was not a gift. It has been the hardest thing I have ever done in my life. It extended me and pushed me. But today I say it was God's greatest gift to me. that he blessed me with baby moon. And I know my husband would say the same thing. Um, he has taught us more than anybody on the face of the earth. I get up every, a lot of people live their whole life looking for what God's called them to do. I know what God called me to do, and I'm just very thankful.
Yep.
Sorry.
No, it's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's what a
That
lot
that
of
that
us
is
are
so
called.
amazing
But it was
because I
serving.
know my sister who passed away. Yeah, she in life she had a beautiful personality, and then after she developed, with her dementia, and then turned to Alzheimer's, then she really had a big personality, and
Hmm.
she knew what she knew, and she would tell you, and she would just you couldn't tell her any different, and you
Yep.
just had to just go along with it
Go with the
and
flow.
understand her to be who she was. Yeah. And a lot of her children and other family members just said, well, I don't understand, and then my current sister, she and her husband had divorced, but today they get along so well because she'll tell him off, but then he doesn't tell her off. And so she says, see, I can get him to do what I want him to do. So it is so funny to see them interact together. They get along better today than they ever did. But she
That's
has her own
wonderful.
personality, and you can't help but to love her for that. And so Kenneth's
Right.
book that's one that I'm going to put in my collection. I know you told me that you have read it, Vicky, The Gifts of Autism and
Mm.
Alzheimer's. And I'm going to get
And
it
I
for my niece as well, who has a son who's 13. He has autism as well. Kenneth continued to nurture relationships with people, and he just loved love. Uh, he just felt like anything could be accomplished just a matter of loving people. So we hope that that's been something that we try to bring out in the program for today. Let's talk a little bit about the kind of disabilities that a lot of people have with language and speech problems. How difficult has it been for you, Vicky, to understand and communicate with some of the clients that you work with when you were working with transportation?
Starting out with, when you're, especially when you get someone new, you have to learn that person from the very beginning. Um, I think I told you about a young lady named Sierra. She, when taking her tours, stuck to her mom's side like glue. Didn't think we'd ever be able to do anything with Sierra. And that she would just, I mean, her mom was very friendly, and she'd just stick right to her side and walk around with her. When they got ready to leave, I gave her the brochure and information about Ability to Thrive and the different programs and stuff. And I went to open the door, and the door opened for her. And I told her it was a pleasure meeting her, and it was a pleasure meeting Sierra. She immediately let go of her mom, turned a whole complete degree around, and grabbed and hugged me and just held me. Then, then I knew I could do something with her. And to this day, she video calls me, she audio calls me on my phone. She's a little social butterfly. She's daring. She goes to scary movies. I mean, all that from a great big turnaround from being shy and nonverbal.
Did you want to add to that, Melanie?
I don't think so. I think it's hard when you're transportation because you see them in a certain setting, and so then I think I never transported, but I think that would be a difficult time because they're transitioning. So kudos to you, Vicky, on that transportation.
Yeah.
And language is just hard. I think the nonverbal learning to communicate with a nonverbal child is a special gift, and Ken was good at that.
Yeah. You can tell things about their eyes or if they're twitch with their hands. I mean, tell so many different things to starting to learn with them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a whole science unto it.
Yep. Yep. Each one of sometimes are different too.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
two may be exactly the same. I forget the I don't know if it's a movie, but they made a documentary of it, and I can't think of the name of it. But this woman had a child that was born with a mental disability, and he wouldn't do nothing but sit on the floor and spin lids like or plates, just spin them on the floor, spin them, and they would take him to one doctor after another. And back then, if they were like your daughter, And like him, they wanted to institutionalize him.
Mhm.
He'll never be nothing. He's never going to talk. He's never going to be able to do anything. He's going to just be a product of society, and we're going to have to keep him up for the rest of his life. You just need to institutionalize him. And one day the mom came home and she was crying. Like, I'm not doing that. What if I were to die? My husband and I got in a car wreck. What happens to my son? So she started going. They had a big bathroom, and she would take plates and she'd go in that bathroom. And for hours on end, she began to sit on the floor. And when she spun a plate like he did, just take her fingers and spin it, he looked at her like, huh. And then he'd spin a plate. And when she'd spin a plate, he began to grin. Little by little, hours and hours, days after days after days, she spent with her son. And he began to make changes. Today, that young man is a professor at college.
Wow. I saw that movie too. That's very
I
good.
can't think of what the name of that is. Do you know what that is?
It's an older one, but you have to get to them. Like my
Yes.
daughter makes paper in the corner of her eye, like shake paper, and like we'll do that same thing. That's
Yep.
what we did.
Yep.
We got
Yep.
into the world.
Going into her world. That's another again, going into their world.
And I guess I would say too, my daughter's 41. At 21, we were in crisis, absolute crisis. But maturity is a beautiful thing for the autistic adult. So I don't want parents to ever give up hope, because past 25, maybe 35, things got so much better. My daughter even has some words now. While she's still nonverbal, she has some words.
Yes.
So just parents be encouraged that it just takes a little longer. Some language, which is so helpful. Every word is
Yes.
helpful.
Yes.
The Butler County Board of Developmental Disabilities honored Kenneth in 2022 with the Lifetime Achievement Award. Let's talk about that, Vicki, because I know that's the organization that you work for, and you're very close to Kenneth. Tell us about that award, and how was it when he received the award, and how did Kenneth act?
Well, when Kenneth received that award, he'd already had that severe stroke, and it had, I don't want to say crippled, but he couldn't walk like he could before. So he was in a wheelchair. He could make a few steps. So him and Leslie came, and he had a nurse aide that came with him as well. And he was so proud, so honored that he received that honor. And when it come his time to get up there, he began to tell how he started, pretty much like what we've talked from the Butler County DD program on up. And then time was running out. They was trying to tape him. They was trying to get him to stop talking. And if you knew Ken, he was a talker. He could go on and talk and talk and talk and talk. Well, next thing he said, he looked out in the crowd and he saw me, and he saw Kim and some other staff members that was there. He said, I want all my staff to come up here. So we ventured our way up there, and he's got us all huddled around him. And then he sees that some of their members, our kids, are there. He asked all them to come up there. He didn't want all the credit for himself. He was so proud of what he'd started and what he had built and what he'd been able to do in the community and the differences he had made. He wasn't proud of himself. He was proud to see what he had done.
And I wasn't thinking that there is no more deserving person in Butler County.
Yes, I totally
deserving.
agree.
I'm so glad they honored him. So
I totally agree.
yeah.
Totally. He had a nickname for
Lifetime
everyone.
Achievement Award.
Yes.
Yes,
Lifetime
indeed. Yes,
Achievement Award.
indeed. People who have autism, people who have behavior disorders, brain injuries, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, fetal alcohol syndrome, intellectual disabilities, and spina bifida. It could affect their physical abilities to move
Yes.
and walk, use their hands and arms, their learning abilities, language, and other behavior areas. But Kenneth was dedicated to this area, and a lot of people that grew up with Kenneth probably are very surprised to learn that that's what he did. But those who know him, everybody's going to come together for a big celebration of life for Kenneth. His family members, friends, regardless of their race, their color, their creed, they're going to join with them in a big celebration at Welcome Stadium Park next to
We
UD
are
Arena
all in God's eyes.
on
Yes.
Great Miami Boulevard. It's going to be a big celebration.
It is.
Releasing balloons. His
Yes.
niece's favorite color is red, and
And
she
yellow.
said Kenneth loved red too.
Yeah.
They're going to release balloons and have food at this cookout, and everybody's coming together. So we're inviting people to come out and join us. I'll use the date, the 23rd of August. Many people may continue to hear this interview after that. August 23rd from 1 to 5 at Welcome Stadium, parking lot D. Parking lot D. You'll see some balloons that will direct you back. But
Yes.
Kenneth, like I said, I grew up with him, knew him and his family very well, and am just been so honored to work with them
This is
on
also
this
what Ken
program.
wanted.
So the ability to, when we get when I get closed in, I don't like it. So I could imagine what it would be like for some people that had disabilities or couldn't
Yeah.
think or move or had the ability to drive or get away.
Right.
Right.
So these walls would just border them in. So Melanie, I know your daughter, they said she was so severe. There may not have been hope, but we know with God all things are possible. And
Yes.
so she was able to thrive and is thriving today. Share for people that are just joining us about your daughter when she started out, and how she is today and how's she doing.
Yeah, she's just doing fabulous. She lives a full life. She has friends, and she's happy. What does every parent want when they raise their child? They most of all want a happy child. They want them to be happy, and I can say that today she's happy. I couldn't have said that 20 years ago. I don't know that she was happy for a lot of the early years. Um, Sort of locked away with language barriers and behavior barriers, but today I can assure you that anybody that sees her knows she's happy. And I sort of say she's the sheriff of Middletown. Everywhere she goes, everybody knows her. So she goes to Kroger. Oh, I love to tell this story. She goes to Kroger almost every day. And there was one Christmas Eve, staff showed up at Kroger at 6 o'clock. Well, Kroger was just closing. Well, the manager knew her. He said, we know Amy needs her outing tonight. You just can't buy anything. So Amy strolled through Kroger after they were closed on Christmas Eve in Middletown, Ohio.
Famous like Elvis.
Just like Elvis, that's right. So uh, he's doing great, and I'm so thankful. I'll forever have a piece of Ken in my heart because he taught me so much. Forever thankful that God brought us together on this planet to teach me and my husband how to work with her, and then the other people that I've been able to uh, through what Ken taught me. So yeah, she's doing wonderful. I'm so thankful. So
Indeed. Vicky, you want to add anything to this?
I'd like to add that if there's other programs out there, and I'm just not saying Ability Thrive is better than every program out there because I've not been at every program, but I hope that you have that vision like you had to make differences in their lives, that they're just not inhabiting a place, but they're out in social and getting to know people, know things, and venture out. Start your own program if you've not started one. Imagine if you was that person that you're trying to teach and be with each day. Put yourself in their shoes. And if anybody knows Ken Routson, please come help us celebrate. And this is what Ken wanted. Ken did not want a funeral. He didn't want a big fuss. He wanted a picnic and something simple. So we're giving him what he wanted.
That's what's going to happen. I know we're talking today about Butler County, an organization that I know that a lot of people may not know about, the ability to thrive, an organization that doesn't have walls. A lot of people know about Butler County. It's in Fairfield. I'm across the screen is scrolling information about the ability to thrive. But if you live in Montgomery County, if you live in Warren County, uh, most counties have boards of developmental disabilities. Most have programs. Some are similar, some are not. But people definitely are able to live in group homes. Some have their own apartments. Like you said, you all were able to buy Melanie a home for your daughter to live in. She has special service people that are there to help her as well. So we want to thank everyone out there. If you need information, you can contact the Ability to Thrive. And again, Vicky, give people the information as to how they can get in touch with you.
You can get in touch with me through Ability to Thrive if you'd like. Our webpage is www.abilitytothrive.org. We're located at 246 Joe Nuxall Way, which is right inside Joyce Park in Fairfield, Ohio, 45014. Come and see us. Come talk to us. Maybe we can help you out. If we can't help you where you're at, maybe we can direct someplace for that will help you. And I
Indeed.
apologize for
And
sneezing.
Melanie, I know that you work in the community and you work with a lot of different people. We want to thank you for joining us today, giving us your time to share about what it's meant to work with Kenneth and to use some of his techniques to help your daughter get on the, I'm going to use the word straight and narrow. She's out there, she's
Yeah.
working, she's thriving, and she's doing so
And
well.
she's
I'm so proud
surviving.
of you all being a parent that listened, because some parents won't listen. And I know it
Yes,
was important for you and your husband and your family to listen.
Yes, and we wouldn't give up. We didn't give up,
that's the main thing. Don't give up.
and yeah. So I'm very thankful to be here today. Thank you, and I'm always glad to talk to parents. And you can contact me through Vicky or Edna. They would be able to communicate.
Yes. Thank you so much. Kenneth would give people support that nobody else would. Many people would have given up, but Kenneth said, nope, he's not going to give up. He did not believe in negative behavior. He worked with staff, he trained them, he worked with them. He believed in gentleness and love and listening, and that was a value to him and for other people too. Kenneth empowered them, and that's what it was. They were empowered. And he also believes that love is the answer to everything, that anybody can go and be supported by having love, gentleness, and kindness. Kenneth passed away on July the 30th of 2025. He has two brothers that he left, a lot of people that supported him. His niece Paula Routson and her two children are there. His parents and his other two sisters have passed away. His sister Sherry Routson, my best friend in elementary and high school. I loved her to death. And so many people still love Kenneth and their family. And so they'll be joining us with this celebration of life. And we just hope you will join us there as well. Thank you, ladies, for joining us. I'm going to show a picture of Kenneth as we get ready to close the program. A lot of people may know and remember him. So thank you, Vicki, and thank you, Melanie. Any last comments, Vicki?
Yes, just remember Leslie in your prayers.
Any last?
And Leslie in her prayers is his lifelong partner. And
Thank you. And Melanie, any last comments?
Just thank you for having me today, Edna. I always love talking about my daughter, and of course, Ken is a piece of that puzzle. So thank you so much for having me.
Indeed, indeed. And as we close the program today, I'm going to close with a photo of Kenneth again, Kenneth Routson, passing away July 30th, a celebration of life being held in his honor at Welcome Stadium Park on Saturday, August 23rd from 1 until 5 p.m. Come on by. We're going to have a balloon release. People are going to say words about Kenneth, some kind words I know. Family and friends will be there. And come by, bring some snacks, bring a pop, bring some chips. We'll have other foods there as well. So everybody is invited to come out to that. And thank you all for joining us on the program today, closing off with a picture of Kenneth Routson.
Thanks for tuning in to Straight Talk Live with renowned radio pioneer Edna Howell-Parrish, the program dedicated to presenting thought-provoking issues and opinions with the goal of challenging listeners to re-examine their assumptions and expand their opinions and give thought to new ideas and concepts to better their lives and the lives of others. Join us next week for another opportunity to participate in making the world better. So until next week, live your best life from your friends at Straight Talk Live and host Edna Howell-Parrish. Thanks for tuning in to Straight Talk Live with renowned radio pioneer Edna Howell-Parrish, the program dedicated to presenting thought-provoking issues and opinions with the goal of challenging listeners to re-examine their assumptions and expand their opinions and give thought to new ideas and concepts to better their lives and the lives of others. Join us next week for another opportunity to participate in making the world better. So until next week, live your best life from your friends at Straight Talk Live and host Edna Howell-Parrish.